Look at the human,
Terminus Hub
drinking
sits
water
right
like a
on the edge of
hatchling.
civilized space.
Pathetic.
The kind of place where rules get blurry and people stop asking questions about what you're hauling. My bar saw everything. Smugglers, traders, mercenaries, diplomats trying to pretend they weren't diplomats. I had handled fights between creatures twice my size, broken up brawls that should have ended in funerals, and kept things running smoothly. So yeah, I thought I had seen it all. Then a human walked in. Now humans had a reputation: dangerous planet, deadly weather, creatures that could kill you just by existing. Some said they were unstoppable. Others said it was all exaggerated. Honestly, I didn't care. To me, a customer was a customer. He didn't look special. Average height, messy brown hair, worn clothes, tired face like any long-haul trader, but his eyes calm, too calm. The kind of calm that makes you uncomfortable without knowing why. He sat at the bar during peak hours, busiest time of the shift, and I walked up like I always do. "What can I get you?" He smiled slightly. "Water, please." I paused. "Water," I repeated. "Yep, just water." Now let me explain something. In a place like this, you don't order water. It's not illegal, but it's wrong. You sit at a bar, you order a drink. That's the rule. But fine. I gave him a glass of clean, purified water and slid it across the counter. "There you go." He took a sip and nodded like he was tasting fine wine. "Good water, clean." That alone was weird enough. But then Thrum, one of my regular idiots, decided to open his mouth. "Did the human just order water?" He laughed loudly. "What's next? A salad?" The whole bar chuckled. The human didn't react. Just kept drinking. That's when I noticed something else. Kelva, a Vortax trader who could literally sense danger, quietly moved away from him. That was the first real warning. Still, I ignored it. Mistake. Thrum didn't stop. He kept pushing, mocking, poking, trying to get a reaction. Finally, the human spoke. Calm, polite. "I'm the designated pilot. I don't drink before flying." That should have ended it. It didn't. Thrum stepped closer, smirking. "Sounds like fear to me." That's when the human took a slow breath, like someone holding something back. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't going to end well. Thrum leaned in closer, clearly enjoying himself. "I thought humans were supposed to be dangerous," he said loudly. "All those stories, death worlds, monsters, warriors, and here you are drinking water." A few people laughed again. The human Marcus didn't smile this time. He just looked at Thrum, steady, quiet. "My planet," he said slowly, "has storms that can erase entire cities, creatures that weigh tons and can outrun vehicles, oceans filled with things you wouldn't believe." The bar started getting quieter. "We survived all of that," he continued, "not by being reckless but by being smart." Thrum snorted, "Sounds like excuses." Marcus leaned forward slightly, not aggressive, just enough to make the air feel heavier. "When I choose water over alcohol before flying," he said, "that's not weakness, that's survival." Now the room was silent. But Thrum still didn't get it. "So what?" he said. "You think that makes you special?" Marcus exhaled slowly. "I don't think anything," he replied. "I just want to sit here, finish my drink and leave." That was the last chance. Everyone felt it. Even I did. "Thrum," I warned, "back off." But drunk pride is stronger than common sense. "No," Thrum said, "I want proof." A pause. A dangerous one. Marcus looked at me for a split second, like he was asking if this was really happening. I didn't answer, because I already knew. Yes, it was. He stood up. Slow, controlled. No sudden movement, no anger. That was the scariest part. He walked past Thrum, past the bar. and stopped at one of the heavy tables. Not just any table. A Durasteel reinforced table, the kind designed to survive bar fights. The kind that had survived dozens. The kind that shouldn't break. Marcus placed both hands on it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, he lifted it, clean off the ground, like it weighed nothing. The entire bar froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Then, without a word, he slammed it down. The impact echoed through the entire station. And the table snapped in half. Clean, perfect, like it had been cut. Silence. Absolute silence. Marcus looked at the broken pieces, then back at Thrum. "That," he said calmly, "is your proof." Thrum didn't say a word. Couldn't. He had gone pale. Marcus walked back, sat down, picked up his water, and took a sip. Like nothing had happened. No one moved. Not Thrum. Not the miners. Not even Gorth, and he once fought 3 mercenaries at once without blinking. The whole bar just stared. Marcus, meanwhile. He calmly placed his glass down and looked at me. "Sorry, Ab." "Out the table," he said. "I'll pay for it." For a second, my brain refused to process what he just said. "You what?" I muttered. "I'll pay," he repeated. "Call it 500 credits." I blinked. 500 credits. That was actually fair. More than fair. Before I could respond, Gorth, the massive Glendarry sitting at that table, stood up. His forearms flexed, muscles tightening. "That was our table," he growled. "Here we go," I thought. Round 2. But Marcus didn't react aggressively. He just turned his head slightly. "Was," he corrected calmly, "past tense." Gorth stepped forward. "You destroyed property." Marcus nodded. "Correct, and I just bought it." The entire bar froze again. "What?" Gorth said, confused. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a credit chip, holding it up. 500 credits to Rex," he said. "That makes the table mine, and if it's mine, I can do whatever I want with it." Even I had to pause. That logic was annoyingly solid. Gorth opened his mouth, then closed it again, his translator clearly struggling more than his brain. Marcus turned back to me. "Plus another 200 for the inconvenience," he added. "Seems fair." He handed me the chip. My hands moved automatically, running the transaction. 700 credits, confirmed. I stared at the reader. He didn't argue. Didn't negotiate. Didn't hesitate. Just paid. Then he looked around the bar, at everyone watching him. "Let me make something clear," he said, voice still calm. "We don't go around looking for fights." No one spoke. "We just want to do our jobs, live our lives, and be left alone." He paused. "But if someone insists on pushing," he added quietly, "then things break." His eyes flicked toward the destroyed table. Tonight it was furniture. A chill ran through the room. Could have been worse. Thrum visibly stepped back. Smartest decision he made all night. Marcus picked up his water, finished it in one go, and placed the empty glass down. "So," he said, looking at me again, "we good?" I swallowed. "Yeah," I said, "we're good." "Good." He gave a small nod, like this was a normal business transaction. Then he turned and walked toward the exit. No rush. No fear. No looking back. Just calm. Like he hadn't just shattered a 300-pound Durasteel table with his bare hands. The door slid open. He stepped out. And just like that, he was gone. For a few seconds, nobody said anything. Then Kelva whispered from the far end. "Did that just happen?" Yes, I said, still staring at the broken table. Yes, it did. Gorth slowly sat back down. He broke it, he muttered, with his hands. One of the miners added quietly. That was Durasteel. Thrum finally spoke, voice shaking. Humans are terrifying. I looked at him. You think, I snapped, maybe don't provoke one next time. He didn't respond. Couldn't. I looked down at the payment log again. 700 credits. Enough to replace the table, maybe even upgrade. But that wasn't the point. Because something had changed. Not just in the bar, but in how everyone there saw humans. And me. I learned something important that night. It's not their strength that makes humans dangerous. It's the fact that they choose not to use it. Until you force them to. 3 days. I had 3 peaceful days after Marcus walked out of my bar. No fights. No idiots trying to prove something. No broken furniture. For the first time in a long while, things felt normal. Then the door opened, and he walked back in. Same jacket. Same tired boots. Same calm eyes. But this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him were 2 more humans. One was a woman, short red hair, confident walk, wearing a pilot suit full of pockets. The kind of person who looked like trouble and enjoyed it. The other was younger, nervous, looking around like he just realized he might have made a terrible life decision. The moment they entered, the entire bar noticed. Kelva. She didn't even hesitate. She got up and moved as far away as possible. Smart. Marcus walked up to the bar like nothing had happened 3 days ago and sat down on the same stool. Evening, Rex, he said casually. How have you been? I stared at him. Better before you walked in. He laughed. Actually laughed. Like I was joking. I was. Fair enough, he said. Look about the table. You broke a 300-pound table with your hands, I cut in. There is no about the table. In my defense, he said calmly, he wouldn't stop talking. I sighed. Annoyingly, he wasn't wrong. The red-haired woman slid onto the stool next to him, smiling. So this is the famous place, she said, looking around. Not bad, smells like real alcohol. Thanks, I replied, unsure if that was a compliment. Marcus gestured toward her. This is Riley, my co-pilot. She gave a small wave. The reason our ship hasn't been impounded, Marcus added. Excuse me, Riley said. I call it creative paperwork. Then he pointed at the nervous one. And this is Jamie, first time this far into the outer reach. Jamie gave an awkward wah. Hi. I looked at him. Yeah, you've got that look. What look? He asked nervously. The I regret my life choices look. That is exactly how I feel. Riley laughed loudly. Give it time, I said. You'll either get used to it or you won't survive long enough to care. Comforting, Jamie muttered. I grabbed 3 glasses. So, I said, what are you having? And please, for the love of my furniture, order actual drinks. Marcus didn't even hesitate. Water. I closed all 3 of my eyes slowly. Of course. Marcus, Riley said immediately, you cannot order water again. You traumatized this man. I'm flying tonight, he replied. I'm flying tonight too. You're on maintenance duty. That's not the point. Jamie quietly raised a hand. I'll just stay out of this. Smart, I muttered. After a moment, Marcus sighed. Fine, 1 Terran beer. Finally. Progress. Riley grinned. I'll take whiskey, strong. I nodded. Good choice. Then I looked at Jamie. And you? Something sweet, he said quickly. Like really sweet. Riley and Marcus both turned to him. Really sweet, I repeated. It's my first time in a space bar, he said defensively. I want something that tastes good. I smirked. I've got just the thing. A few moments later, I placed their drinks down. Beer for Marcus. Whiskey for Riley. Bright blue fusion mixer for Jamie. Jamie took one sip, and his eyes lit up. This is amazing. Give it 10 minutes, Riley said. You'll regret everything. Marcus took a sip of his beer and looked around the bar again, observing, analyzing. Like before. His gaze stopped at a corner table. 3 minors playing cards. Serious game. High stakes, he asked. Very, I said. They play every week. He nodded slowly. I might join next time. Riley snorted. He says that like he won't clean them out. You gamble, I asked. Sometimes, Marcus said casually. Riley laughed. He once won a ship in a card game. I stared at him. You what? Technically too, he corrected. Of course you did. Jamie leaned forward slightly, drink already hitting him. Can I ask something? Go ahead, I said. Why is everyone scared of us? I paused, then looked at Marcus, then Riley. They didn't answer. So I did. Because of your reputation. Jamie blinked. What reputation? I leaned on the bar. All right, let me tell you a story. And just like that, the mood shifted again. Jamie leaned forward, still holding his bright blue drink. What reputation? He asked. I looked at Marcus and Riley. They didn't stop me. So I started. About 20 cycles ago, I said, humans made first contact with the Xantari, peaceful, civilized, nothing special. Riley smirked. We like to make a good first impression. Yeah, I continued, and everyone thought you were just another average species. I paused. Then the Krell showed up. Marcus didn't react, but Riley's smile faded slightly. The Krell, I said, don't believe in diplomacy. They believe in strength. If you can't defend yourself, you don't deserve to exist. Jamie swallowed. They attacked a human colony, Epsilon Station. He nodded slowly. That sounds bad. It was supposed to be easy, I said. The Krell brought a full war fleet. And humans? Jamie asked. 3 military ships, I replied. Maybe 200 trained soldiers. Jamie blinked. That's it. That's it. He looked at Marcus. You're kidding, right? Marcus just took a sip of his beer. Nope. I continued. What happened next changed everything. The bar had gone quiet again. People were listening. Humans didn't surrender, I said. They didn't run. What did they do? Jamie asked quietly. They adapted. I leaned closer. They turned cargo ships into weapons. Riley grinned slightly. Improvised engineering. They used mining lasers as anti-ship cannons, I added. Jamie's eyes widened. You're serious? Very. And when that wasn't enough, I continued, lowering my voice, one of their captains rammed a Krell destroyer. Jamie froze. What? With a ship full of explosives, I said. And escaped at the last second, Riley added proudly. Captain Torres. Legend, Marcus muttered. Jamie looked completely stunned now. They won. No, I said, they survived. I let that sink in. The Krell retreated, I continued, first time in their history. That got a reaction from a few people nearby. They came back with a bigger fleet, I said, because now it was personal. And then, Jamie whispered. 3 years of war, Marcus said quietly. Everyone looked at him. He set his glass down. Back and forth, losses on both sides, nobody backing down. And how did it end? Jamie asked. Marcus shrugged slightly. We reached a point where continuing meant mutual destruction. So peace. Yeah, Riley said, reluctant peace. I nodded. And that, I said, looking at Jamie, is why people are nervous around humans. Jamie stared at his drink. Because you fight. I shook my head. No. I leaned in slightly. Because you don't stop. Silence. You don't quit, I continued. You don't give up, and you don't care how bad the odds are. Marcus smirked faintly. We care, he said. We just don't let it stop us. That's worse, I replied. Jamie let out a slow breath. That's actually kind of cool. It's terrifying, I corrected. Riley raised her glass. To terrifying. Marcus clinked his beer lightly against hers. To surviving. Jamie hesitated, then joined them. To not dying, hopefully. They drank. For a moment, everything felt normal again. Just three humans having drinks. Just another night at the bar. Then the door opened. And everything changed. I looked up. And my stomach dropped. So no, I muttered. Marcus noticed immediately. Problem, he asked. Big one, I said. A massive figure stepped inside. Over 8 feet tall, muscles like reinforced steel, eyes filled with anger. Krellout, I said quietly. Riley raised an eyebrow. Friend of yours? No, I replied. He's the opposite of that. Krellout scanned the room. And locked onto Marcus. Then he smiled. Not friendly. Never friendly. Why do I feel like this is about to get bad? Jamie whispered. Because it is, I said. Krellout started walking toward them. Slow, heavy steps. Each one louder than the last. He hates humans, I added quietly. Riley's grip tightened on her glass. Of course he does. Marcus stayed seated. Calm. Like always. Krellout stopped right behind him. Towering. Human, he growled. Marcus took a slow sip of his beer. And didn't even turn around. That's my species, he said casually. The bar went silent. Again. Krellout stood behind Marcus like a mountain ready to fall. Turn around when I talk to you, he growled. Marcus didn't move. I'm drinking, he said calmly. When I finish, I'll turn around. A few people in the bar shifted nervously. Krellout's jaw tightened. You know who I am. No, Marcus replied. Should I? I am Krellout, he said, puffing up. Bounty hunter, warrior. Marcus nodded slightly. Good for you. That did not help. I don't like humans, Krellout growled. Marcus took another sip. That's your right. The tension snapped tighter. Krellout leaned closer. My brother died fighting your kind. That got everyone's attention. Even Marcus paused for a second. Then he spoke, still calm. War kills people, he said. I didn't kill your brother. You are human, Krellout snapped. That is enough. Riley slowly turned on her stool. Now she was facing him directly. Smiling, but not nicely. Quick question, she said casually. Are you about to touch my captain? Krellout looked down at her. What is it to you? She tilted her head slightly. Because if you are, she said sweetly, I'm going to break 4 of your fingers. The entire bar froze. Krellout laughed. A deep, heavy laugh. You, he mocked, you are half my size. 3/4, Riley corrected. Let's stay accurate. She leaned forward just a little. And yes, 4 fingers. Jamie, meanwhile, raised his drink slightly. Oh, I'm also here, he added nervously. Just saying. Riley didn't look at him. Good, she said. Stay ready. Krellout's laughter faded. You bluff. Riley's smile widened. Only one way to find out. Marcus finally set his glass down. Slowly. Then he turned around. Calm eyes meeting Krellout's rage. Look, Marcus said, voice steady, I'm sorry about your brother. That wasn't what anyone expected. Krellout hesitated. Just for a second. War is messy, Marcus continued. People die, it's never fair. Silence. But blaming random people in a bar, he added, that doesn't fix anything. Krellout clenched his fists. You killed him. No, Marcus said, war did. Riley crossed her arms. And if your brother fought on the Krell side, she added, then he chose that fight. Krellout's breathing got heavier. Anger, confusion, frustration. All mixing together. Marcus leaned back slightly. We're not your enemies, he said. We're just people trying to live our lives. Another pause. Long one. Krellout looked at Marcus. Then at Riley. Then at Jamie, who awkwardly waved again. Not exactly intimidating. But still part of the group. 3 humans. Calm. Unshaken. Not afraid. That's what did it. Not strength. Not threats. Confidence. Krellout slowly lowered his hand. You are lucky, he growled. Riley smirked. No, she said, we're prepared. Another long stare. Then finally, Krellout stepped back. I am watching you, he warned. One mistake. Marcus nodded. Noted. No fear. No challenge. Just acknowledgement. That somehow made it worse. Krellout turned and walked out of the bar. Just like that. The danger gone. The silence remained. Riley picked up her drink and finished it in one go. Well, she said, that was fun. Fun, I snapped. That was almost a disaster. Marcus picked up his beer again. He didn't want to fight, he said. He absolutely did, I replied. Yeah, Riley added, but he didn't want to lose. That shut me up. Because she was right. Jamie let out a shaky breath. I think I need another drink. No, Riley said immediately. You definitely don't. Marcus stood up. We should go, he said. Early shift tomorrow. They placed credits on the counter. Paid. No argument. No drama. Like normal customers. Like nothing had just happened. Before leaving, Marcus looked at me. Sorry about that, he said. I shook my head. At least nothing broke this time. He smiled slightly. Improvement. Then the 3 of them walked out. And just like before, they left behind silence. After that night, things changed. Word spread fast in the outer reach. About the human who broke a Durasteel table. About the human who faced down a Gorvan bounty hunter and didn't even raise his voice. And most importantly, about the human who could end fights without starting them. A week later, Marcus came back. Alone this time. No Riley. No Jamie. Just him. He walked in like he belonged there now. And honestly, maybe he did. The bar went quieter when he entered, but not out of fear this time. Out of awareness. Respect, maybe. He didn't come to the counter. Didn't order anything. He went straight to the corner. The quantum poker table. 3 Hectarian miners were already there. Big players, serious gamblers. The kind that don't like outsiders. Marcus stopped beside them. Room for one more, he asked. They looked at each other. Then at him. They had heard the stories. Everyone had. After a moment, they nodded. Sid. Simple as that. No arguments. No testing. That alone told me everything. Hours passed. The game went on. Slow, intense, silent. Credits moving back and forth. Bluffs, reads, calculations. Marcus. Calm. Always calm. No excitement when he won. No frustration when he lost. Just steady. Like he was doing a job. I kept watching from behind the bar. Because something felt inevitable. And I was right. 6 hours later. It ended. The miners leaned back in their chairs. One of them let out a long breath. "It's yours," he said. Marcus nodded once. No celebration. No grin. Just acceptance. He stood up and walked to the bar. I didn't even ask. "How much?" I said. "Enough," he replied simply. I shook my head. "You cleaned them out." "They'll win it back," he said. "That's how games work." "Maybe. But not tonight." I poured him a drink this time without asking. He looked at it. Then at me. "Not flying tonight," I said. He smirked slightly. "Not tonight." He took a sip. Finally. "Not water." "Progress." "You coming back next week?" I asked. "Probably," he said. I nodded. "Just don't break anything." "Deal." He placed a generous tip on the counter. Then turned to leave. Same as always. Quiet. No drama. No attention-seeking. But as he walked out, I noticed something. No one laughed at him anymore. No one challenged him. No one even looked at him the wrong way. Not because they were scared, but because they understood now. Kelva slowly approached the bar again. "Is he gone?" she asked. "He's gone," I said. She relaxed slightly. Then looked at me. "Those humans," she said, "they're dangerous." I thought about it. Then shook my head. "No," I said. "They're not dangerous because they fight." She tilted her head. "Then why?" I looked at the door Marcus had just walked through. "They're dangerous," I said slowly. "Because they don't need to." Silence. "They have all that strength," I continued, "all that ability. And they choose to sit quietly, drink, pay, walk away." Calva's tendrils twitched. "That is unsettling." "Exactly," I said. "Because you never know where the line is." I glanced at the memory of the broken table. You only find out after you cross it. The bar returned to normal after that. Drinks flowed. Games continued. Life went on. But something had changed permanently. Not just for me. For everyone. Because now, we understood humans. Not completely. But enough. After Marcus became a regular, my bar changed. Not in obvious ways. The drinks were the same. The customers were the same. The fights mostly the same. But the attitude, different. People stopped testing humans. Not completely, there's always one idiot. But most, they remembered the story. The table. The bounty hunter. The calm. And they made a very simple decision. Not worth it. Marcus kept coming back. Sometimes alone. Sometimes with Riley and Jamie. He'd sit. Order his drink, water when flying, beer when not. Play cards. Win some, lose some. Always pay. Always tip. Always leave quietly. And every now and then, someone new would walk in. Some outsider. Someone who hadn't heard the stories. Someone who looked at Marcus and thought, just a human. Those were the dangerous moments. Not because Marcus would do something, but because they might force him to. Most of the time, it didn't go that far. A look, a few words, maybe Riley stepping in with that smile of hers. And suddenly the situation would resolve itself. That's when it finally clicked for me. The real truth. The thing everyone gets wrong about humans. It's not their strength. Plenty of species are strong. It's not their aggression. Some species are far more violent. It's not even their reputation. It's something much simpler and much more dangerous. It's choice. Humans can fight. They can destroy. They can survive things that would wipe out entire species. Everyone knows that now. But what makes them truly terrifying is this. Backhand index pointing, right? They choose not to. They choose to be polite, to be patient, to walk away, until you take that choice away. And when that happens, there's no warning, no threats, no dramatic buildup. Things just break. Sometimes it's a table. Sometimes it's your pride. And if you're unlucky, something far worse. So here's my advice. From someone who learned the hard way. If a human walks into your bar and sits down and orders water, let them. Don't mock them. Don't test them. Don't try to prove something. Just serve the drink. Take the payment. And let them leave in peace. Because if you do, you might end up like me, standing in the middle of your bar, looking at a broken table, holding a credit chip, and realizing you were warned. And that is the story of how a human ordered water at my bar and taught everyone there exactly why humans have the reputation they do.